better solution upstream and downstream. There are actually, and some board members, of course, are familiar with this. There are actually two culverts that were put in the stream at the time, and since the day they put it in, one of the culverts has steel plates on either side. They by design put in one open one and one closed one. We long maintained that they ought to at least open up that second culvert, but our modeling showed that, in fact, if you took both culverts out and put in a single 60-inch culvert, it was a benefit for everyone. So at the meeting that Mayor Kaplan and I attended, we reminded the Corps that we had done that modeling. We asked them to examine that as part of the work that they're proposing to do now. We also indicated that, understandably, hopefully, Riverwoods, this is the second time now that the Corps has come to modify the reservoir and fix it. So we're a little bit uneasy just taking the Corps at their word that trust us, this modeling is good and it will all work. So we asked that Lake County Stormwater Management also review the modeling that was done here so we can get concurrence from an independent group that the modeling that's been performed by the Corps is adequate and correct. So we brought that up at the meeting. Deerfield had, of course, their concerns that the modifications not adversely impact the folks down in Deerfield downstream of this. Bannockburn, actually, because the reservoir is in Bannockburn, they have some suggestions on what the Corps do with all the dirt that they move around there and build the berm. So each of the three communities have some interests in how this gets done. I don't think that we're at cross purposes. I don't think that the villages have competing interests in this largely, although, of course, Deerfield's very concerned about anything that could possibly raise elevations downstream. The two documents that I just handed out to you are two sets of minutes from the meeting. One set is the minutes that I prepared that are admittedly focused only on Riverwood's concerns that were raised at the meeting. The second one was provided, that just came out today. Those are minutes that the Corps had prepared. And if you run through those minutes, we're saying a number of similar things, but not quite saying the same thing. The Corps does acknowledge that they will review, they will model these additional culvert modifications that we've suggested. But what they're saying is, well, we'll go ahead and model it. If it seems like a good idea, maybe sometime in the future, if funding is available, we'll come through and do those improvements. What we suggested at the meeting was just include those as an alternate in your bid, because of course what they're saying is we have to move very, very quickly or our funding might evaporate on this, then the whole thing goes away. And that, Riverwoods does not want that to happen. Even if the culverts don't get changed, the modifications as proposed are to our benefit. They will lower flood elevations in Riverwoods. So what we're trying to do is just make it a better project by also including these culvert replacements as well.
Pat, is it the same problems arose about 50 years ago?
That's what we're talking
Bill
about.
will remember.
Yeah.
We went through all of this with the Army Corps. I got the same explanation and nothing happened.
Right, well, now we're getting a response.
It's, I kind of equate this, it's kind of our Halley's Comet of the Corps. Every decade or so, we get their ear and we try to deflect their course just a little bit. You're absolutely right. There's no guarantee. At the end of the day, they're the feds, and they're going to move in the direction that they move. And we're trying to exert some influence to try to really that makes the reservoir function better for folks upstream and downstream. No guarantees that anything gets accomplished from it, but I simply couldn't let the opportunity go by without at least trying.
That was excellent.
Pat, do you think that leaning on any of the political people in the area, national political people, for example?
I don't think they could ever hurt us. What the Corps says is that they have to get this project awarded by the end of September. That's the end of their fiscal year. The project has to be awarded, otherwise the funding could evaporate. I don't know how real that possibility is, but that's what they tell us. So our strategy that I'm suggesting here is that we do everything we can to keep the project moving forward. It's one thing to put together the plans and award the contract. Construction is another animal. So we want them to, first of all, we want the SMC to review the modeling that's.
They were also at the meeting, by the way.
the county concurred with us back in the mid-90s as well, for what that was worth. So we want to get the county to look over the modeling, but we do want this to move forward. Again, even if they only do exactly what they're proposing to do, it is to Riverwood's benefit. So we don't want to see this project go away because we were trying to make something good into something better. And we will try to steer this to get them to at least include in their bid documents alternates to do this culvert work, so that they can go ahead and get it out for bids and award the contract while the modeling is happening. And then we can, as long as it's in their contract, they ought to be able to do it during the course of construction. I think that's the best we can do to avoid just putting the project off indefinitely. I think that we want to.
Patrick, on the chance of sounding totally uninformed, what is a madge hoe?
That's a major hoe,
Major.
and
Last name is Hope.
That's his name.
Okay, thank you. I keep thinking this is a note to madge hoe.
major hoe is the
He's in charge of the
Army
project.
personnel in charge of the project, and those folks circulate through, they come and go, and
Bill, is there any
fairly ephemeral.
It just delayed. Again, time is of the essence of this project, really. And any interference, I'm using the word interference, all we really want is them to put the two things that we suggested as addendums to the bid. So once they get the contract let, then we can maybe put some pressure on them. The thing is,
That's what you rock the boat now.
I don't want to rock the boat.
If we had, if we had the ear of someone who really had influence with the Corps, then I would suggest that it may be useful if we could at least truth out how likely it is that this financing, this funding would just disappear, or if we try to make sure that that funding does
They put
stay
more pressure
earmarked
on
for
us
this
than
project.
we did on them.
Right, that's, if we did have some ability to truth out that budget issue, then, maybe we can make this less of a panic to get it done in the next month, if this is a springtime project. But in any event, we want it to happen, before the next big rainstorm, whatever that includes.
Anything else, Pat? Any other questions of Pat? Village attorney report.
I have nothing.
Village first manager's not here.
Russell.
Oh, Director of Community Services.
I'm sorry, Ross. Apologize.
This is me, I forget about you. I want to go one thing, we heard from the 2019 community rating system,
But
the community rating system that we belong to for our stormwater management, insurance and stuff. We have been approved again for the next year. We've got all the programs requirements, so we got an A and a gold star, and that's it.
And most importantly from that, an across-the-board 10% reduction in flood insurance premiums.
So,
urban forest manager's not here for that commission report.
We're meeting on Thursday.
Are we having another meeting on Thursday?
The subject of that meeting will be primarily deer fences.
You're looking at ZBA report? Okay. Police report.
Since the August 18th meeting, we've had the following activity. We've had 2 911 hangups, we've handled 9 accidents, 20 burglar alarms, 3 animal complaints, we've assisted the fire department 11 times, other agencies 4 times, 1 dispute, 4 driving complaints, had 5 DUI arrests, 1 harassment, 6 lockouts, 10 motorist assists, 2 public assists, 4 noise disturbances, and 4 suspicious circumstances. We've taken 10 reports.